Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. In today's video, I have 7 stocks here that I've spoken about in past videos. And since then, each of these stocks has produced a return of about 10 to 20% or more since I released a video about them. So in this video, I'm just going to compare the estimated intrinsic value per share that we came to for each of these companies back when I released a video about them in the past to the estimated intrinsic value per share for these companies today to see if each of these companies still presents a good buying opportunity from a value investing perspective. So thanks in advance for leaving a like on this video. It really helps this channel get recommended to a lot of other viewers on YouTube. So thanks for that, and let's get right into it. So the first stock that I want to mention is Epam Systems. And if you remember, I released a video about Epam Systems on March 2nd. And on March 2nd, their stock was trading at about $245.17 per share. And then it proceeded to fall to a low of about $174.80 per share on March 7th. And so basically we can see right now that it's trading at about $432.44 per share. So since the time that I released a video about the stock on March 2nd, the stock is up about 73% from the day I released a video about the stock, and it's up about 142% from their lows on March 7th. And if you remember, the reason why I made a video about this stock in the past was because of Russia's attack on Ukraine, which had a pretty dramatic impact on Epam Systems' share price, mainly because, if you remember, when we looked into Epam Systems' annual report, we found that a lot of their employees, the vast majority of their employees, were actually located in Russia and Ukraine, which is why the stock took a pretty big hit earlier on. And so right here, I have the estimated intrinsic value per share that we had found for Epam Systems back on March 2nd. And we can see that it came out to be about $302 per share with a 50% margin of safety of $151 per share. And so considering the fact that on March 2nd, their stock was trading at about $245 per share, that means that when we released a video about Epam Systems on March 2nd, they were trading below their intrinsic value per share at that time, which means they could have probably potentially presented a good buying opportunity back then. And so today, this is the updated intrinsic value per share for Epam Systems based on some changes in the growth rate estimates from analysts on Yahoo Finance, as well as some changes to the financial metrics on their financial statements. And we can see that these changes have decreased the estimated intrinsic value per share for Epam Systems today. And so although back then it was about $302 per share, right now it's about $246 per share. And so obviously compared to today's share price, it's obviously increased since then from 174 to what is now 432. So it seems to me that according to the estimates from Yahoo Finance analysts, that Epam Systems is actually no longer trading below their intrinsic value per share, which means they might not present as strong of a buying opportunity today as they did when I initially released a video about them on March 2nd. And so the second stock that I want to talk about here is ConocoPhillips. And we can see right here that over the last year, they're up 100%. And I actually made a video about ConocoPhillips on July 10th. And we can see that on July 10th, or not on June 10th, sorry, this is July 10th right here. We can see on July 10th, they were trading at about $86.46 per share. And then they proceeded to fall to a low of about $81.61 on July 14th. And so since I've made a video about ConocoPhillips, their stock price is up about 25.7%, and it's up about 33.1% from their lows. And if you remember from the video, I specifically touched on how in their first quarter earnings results, they showed that their revenue had actually doubled year over year from $10 billion to $20 billion. And then on top of that, we did a competitor analysis in that video comparing ConocoPhillips to Exxon Mobil and Chevron, and we found that ConocoPhillips actually had the highest gross profit margin, the highest net profit margin, and the highest return on assets out of the 3 companies. So it seemed to me like at that time, they were obviously presenting a pretty strong buying opportunity. And so right here is the estimated intrinsic value per share that we presented when I made the initial video on July 10th. And we can see it was estimated to be about $168 per share with a 50% margin of safety of $84 per share. And so considering that at that time they were trading at about $86 per share, they were trading near a 50% margin of safety at that time. And so compare that to today, we can see that their intrinsic value per share has actually increased because it's currently at about $224 per share, because analysts on Yahoo Finance are estimating that their growth rate has actually increased from 15% to 20% each year for the next 5 years. And so that puts their current 50% margin of safety at about $112 per share, which means that although ConocoPhillips stock has increased by about 25% since I made a video about them on July 10th, and they're currently trading about $111 to $112 per share, they're still trading at a 50% margin of safety simply because their estimated intrinsic value per share has actually increased since that time period. And so basically, this means that ConocoPhillips, even though their stock price has increased about 20 to 30% since July 10th, they could potentially still present a strong buying opportunity from a value investing perspective. And so the third stock that I want to talk about here is Devon Energy. And I released a video about Devon Energy pretty recently, actually, on July 21st. And in only a matter of about a month and a half, basically, from July 21st to today, their stock price is up pretty significantly. When I released a video about them on July 21st, their stock price was trading at about a share price of about $56.20, if I can find it here. We can see right here it was trading at about $56.20, and since then they've pretty much just continued to increase at about the same rate. $56.20 was one of the lower points for them, and since then now they're trading at $68 per share, so they're actually up about 22.9% since I made a video about them on July 21st. And when I made a video about them, we were comparing them to Occidental Petroleum, which is one of their main competitors. And we saw that Devon Energy actually had a higher gross profit margin, net profit margin, and return on assets than Occidental Petroleum. So it's interesting to see that there seems to be a bit of a trend here in terms of the stocks that have performed best from those past videos where we reviewed them and analyzed them. It seems like, similar to ConocoPhillips, the stocks that really performed well over this short time period were the ones that were beating out their competitors in terms of business efficiency and were also trading at far below their intrinsic value per share. So we can see that Devon Energy, at the time that I made the video, they were trading at about $56 per share. And we can see that the estimated intrinsic value per share that we came to for their company at that time period was $107 per share, with a 50% margin of safety of about $53 per share. So they were similar to ConocoPhillips, trading at about a 50% margin of safety at the time that I made the video. And so fast forward to today, we can see that similar to ConocoPhillips, their estimated growth rate for the next 5 years, according to Yahoo Finance, has increased from 21% to 36%. And as a result, their intrinsic value per share has also increased to $221 per share, with a 50% margin of safety of about $110 per share. And so compared to their current share price, it means that Devon Energy could potentially be sitting at an even stronger buying opportunity today than they were when I had initially made the video about them on July 21st, which is pretty interesting to see. And so the fourth stock out of the 7 stocks I'm going to be talking about on this list right here is Etsy. And we can see right here, I actually made a video about Etsy on May 15th. And on May 15th, their stock price was trading at about $69 per share, around there. We can see right around here, or about $92 per share actually, or $86 per share, somewhere around there, about $80 to $90 per share. And then they proceeded to fall to a low of about $69 per share, somewhere around June, around here. And so basically, since the time that I made the video, the stock price has actually increased by about 17.2%. And since their all-time lows of around $69 per share on June 16th, their stock is up about 36.1%. So a lot of growth for Etsy in that short time period. And we can see, according to the estimated intrinsic value per share here, when I had initially made a video about them on May 15th, Yahoo was estimating that their growth rate for the next 5 years would be about 41%. But if you actually Google Etsy on Yahoo Finance today, curiously enough, their estimates for the growth rates for the next 5 years have actually changed pretty significantly to a negative 1.7%. And I was actually pretty shocked to see this when I checked Yahoo Finance today, but that is the metric that Yahoo Finance produced for their estimated growth rate for the next 5 years. And so obviously that's going to throw off the intrinsic value estimate for these two calculations here in comparison to each other. We can see on one end, when I initially made the video, it's saying that Etsy's intrinsic value per share is going to be about $305 per share. And then today, the updated version says that their intrinsic value per share is about $33 per share. So a pretty massive difference there. Obviously, we can see that the 50% margin of safety is about $152 per share when I made the video. And so compared to what they were trading at that time period of about $90 per share, when I made the video, they were trading far below their 50% margin of safety. So it looked like they were potentially presenting a very strong buying opportunity. But today, in comparison to their current share price, they're definitely not trading at below their intrinsic value per share if these estimates from Yahoo Finance are to be believed for their growth rates for the next 5 years. But that being said, from the time that I made the video and from their all-time lows right here of about $69 to $70, they are up around 17 to 36% over that time period. And so the next stock I want to look at is BJ's, and I made a video about BJ's on July 17th. And on July 17th, they were trading at a share price of about, as we can see right here, about $69 per share around there. And so since then, they've increased, pretty much just steadily increased from that time period. They haven't really dipped much. They've increased by about 13.1% since I made the video about them on July 17th. And so if we look at their intrinsic value per share right here, it really hasn't changed over that short time period. Obviously, July 17th was not that long ago, so it makes sense that their intrinsic value per share wouldn't really change that much over that short time period. They weren't trading at below their intrinsic value per share when I made the video on July 17th, and they still aren't because it's estimated, as we saw right there, that their intrinsic value per share would be $26 to $27 per share. And so they're obviously nowhere near that while they're trading at around $60, $70 to $80 per share right now. But their stock price is up about 13.1% since I made the video about them about a month and a half ago. And so the next stock I want to talk about is Arthur J. Gallagher. And I actually made a video about Arthur J. Gallagher on March 19th. So it was a pretty long time ago. And when I made the video about them on March 19th, they were trading at a share price of around $167 per share around there. And then they fell to a low of about $149 per share on June 16th. And so since then, since I made the video about them, they've increased by about 11.3% since that video on March 19th. And from their lows on June 16th, they're up about 25.2%. And if you don't remember, basically Arthur J. Gallagher is a global insurance brokerage and risk management services firm, and they mainly produce revenues from fees and commissions charged for their services. And so if I look at their intrinsic value per share right here, we can see that from the video that I made a while ago, that we estimated that their intrinsic value per share would be about $94 per share. And then the new estimated updated intrinsic value per share for Arthur J. Gallagher comes out to be about $88 per share. And so basically in both cases, they weren't trading below their intrinsic value when I made the video, and they still aren't trading below their intrinsic value. But that being said, their stock price has increased by about 11% since I made the video, and it's increased about 25% from their lows in June 16th. And so the final stock that I want to talk about in this video is Exxon Mobil. And I actually made the video about Exxon Mobil in the exact same video that was addressing ConocoPhillips, which was the video I released on July 10th. And when I released that video, their stock price was trading at about $86 per share, right around here. And then they proceeded to fall to a low of about $83 per share on July 14th. And so basically they're up about 10.2% since I made the video, and they're up about 14.1% from their lows. And so if we look at their intrinsic value per share here, we can see that the intrinsic value per share that I estimated for them on July 10th was about $233 per share with a 50% margin of safety of $116 per share. And so at that time, they were trading below their intrinsic value per share, far below it, because they were trading at a share price of about $86 per share. And today, with the updated version of their intrinsic value, we can see that it's basically around the same. It's about $233, $241 per share, and the 50% margin of safety is about $116 to $120. So it really hasn't changed that much. And so they're obviously still trading below their intrinsic value per share, because today they're trading at a share price of about $96 per share. So that's below a 50% margin of safety relative to the intrinsic value of the company, meaning they could still present a good buying opportunity from a value investing perspective. And that basically sums up all of the stocks I wanted to talk about in this video. 7 stocks that I made videos about in the past that have produced pretty good returns since I released a video about them, and also since their all-time lows, especially Epam Systems. I actually managed to make a video about this one pretty much near their bottom over here of around $100 to $200 per share. And since then, they've obviously increased quite a bit by about 100%. So interesting to know. I'd be very interested to know if anyone actually bought into Epam Systems when I made the video about them initially. I wasn't one of those people, unfortunately, but I did manage to buy into Etsy when they were trading at about $70 per share. So that's pretty cool. And then I'm thinking about potentially investing in either Devon Energy or ConocoPhillips, since obviously these stocks have produced pretty good returns, and they're both still trading at about a 50% margin of safety relative to their intrinsic value. But I would definitely love to know what anyone watching this video thinks. Are any of these stocks still presenting good buying opportunities, or are all of these stocks basically just presenting red flags? Let me know for any of your reasoning in the comment section down below. Leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see everyone in the next one.